What do you think human resource is? Tell me in the comments, what is your concept of human resource? Still waiting. What is your concept of human resource? Oh, the Wi-Fi I get trouble. Well, yeah, I guess I see a lot of persons complaining about flow. That flow is giving trouble. However, as I said, I'm going to save the live on Instagram and then I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel, which is Social Studies with Suarez on YouTube. So you can go over there. So text and tell me what you think human resource is. Would they be like skills? Yes, that's a part of human resource, Royal TY. So that's one. So it's skills. What else? Outside of skills, what else would you consider to be human resource? What else would you consider to be human resource? I need one more person to answer. So outside of skills, what else would you consider? Knowledge. Very good, Royal. Royal, you sound like you're on your way to getting the grade 1. That's very good. So human resource includes strength, creativity, mental abilities of the human population, right? So all of the gifts, the talents, as you say, skills and special ability that people possess, we would consider all of those. Yes, K. Chutson, yes, we consider all of those things to be a part of human resource. Good? So we are going to dive into all of the things that make human resource what it is. Good? So good. We're going to look at population. So a population is the total number of people living in a given area. Good? So population again is the total amount of people living in a given area. Good? Demography is the study of a population. Good? So it looks at size, composition, who is in it, the type, different types of, sorry, not different types, but male versus female, children, teenagers, middle-aged people, and old people. Good? To get all of this information, what is done every 10 years to get a population composition? What is done every 10 years? To find out how many persons are actually living in the population. I want you to tell me what is carried out every 10 years to find out the number of persons that are in a population. What is carried out every year? A census. Very good. So a census is carried out every year to find out the total number of the population, but not just the total number of population, but it finds out as well the number of persons of working age, number of persons who are employed or unemployed, their gender, age, gender ratio, male as opposed to female, good marital status, religion, ethnicity and migration levels. Good. Let's now look, yes, Darian, every 10 years. Let's now look at the characteristics of a population. These are the things that from you see them, you know that they are a part of the population. So the characteristics of a population include age, right? That is self-explanatory. The sex, whether they are male or female. The occupation, that is what they do for their work. Ethnicity, right? This tells us the race that they are from, whether they are African, Chinese, Indians, Syrians. Understand? Good. The religion that they practice. And also it helps us to find out the dependency ratio. Remember, we say the population census looks from the baby right up to the old people. So the persons who are not of working age and those who are old and retire, we call them the dependency ratio because they can't work to provide for themselves. So they depend on somebody, either their family or the government. Good? And then all of that information now is used to make a population pyramid, right? Age and sex distribution is often represented in a population pyramid where the relative proportions of the age group and gender are clearly shown, right? Now I'm going to show you the shape of a population pyramid. Hopefully you guys can see it. I am trying to work with this as best as possible. Good. So these are two examples of a population pyramid. There is one more. This is another example of a population pyramid. Alright. So what we must realize is that countries with a broad base like this are usually developing countries. Broad base and a small conical tip up here, these are developing countries. It means that the birth rate is high, and also the persons who are age is usually small. And there are certain reasons why the broad base, the base is large and the conical tip is small. Further on in the lesson, we are going to explain why this is so. Or, in case I don't get the time, let me tell you from now since I mentioned it. The broad base, Lord Jesus, this fan fight with me. Broad base, a lot of kids, because family planning is not well practiced in developing countries and sometimes it's not accessible, right? Healthcare, especially healthcare that deals with treatment. A secondary healthcare is not so accessible or good for golden agers, so many of them die from lifestyle diseases. Great. Then now, countries with a small base and a relatively decent sized conical tip are from developed countries, because in many developed countries persons are waiting to have children, especially these independent women, right? Their career in many respects comes first, and family planning is very accessible and people practice using family planning. So you will have a couple that doesn't have any baby or they have one. In relation to a developing countries, people just have babies just like that. They believe in being fruitful and multiplying, right? And then now that becomes a problem because it adds to the dependency ratio. Are we understanding population pyramids? Ladies and gentlemen, it is usually divided into males and females. That's a population pyramid. Remember again, broad base, small tip, developing countries, small base, relatively decent size conical tip, then we know that that is from a developed country. Very good. I hope you guys would have understood that. Right, ladies and gentlemen? Alright. We are going to be looking now at the factors that influence population change. These are some of the things that cause the population to either increase or decrease. We are going to look at those things. Alright? One factor that influences population change is the birth rate. We know that if in a country a lot of babies are being born, then the population is going to increase, right? If not a lot of babies are being born, then the population is going to remain steady or it is going to decrease, because as people die, if babies are born, they replace those who die, right? We have to also look at the economic conditions and healthcare. So if healthcare is good, then people have a higher probability of living longer, right? Healthcare in terms of prenatal and postnatal care. We know that pre means before and post means after, right? A little English is coming in as well. So if baby mothers take care of their health and there are hospitals and clinics to take care of them as well, then there's a high probability that the baby is going to be born at 9 months and also is going to be healthy. If that is not there, then we stand a chance of the baby dying right before birth, in childbirth, or being born with certain kinds of illnesses. Understand? Or born and died, which is a stillbirth. Understand? The culture and religious attitudes also influence the population change. Education also influences population change, right? Because people need to be educated about family planning practices. Education, not just in a school where you're learning and do your CSEC and you do your CAPE, but also to be aware of information, because many times people become sick because they are not informed, right? So they don't know the right decision to make, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go. So education plays a big role so people can be knowledgeable. People can be armed with information. Good. The death rate also influences the population change. So if you have a high death rate, population going to decrease. right? Low death rate, population going to continue to increase because of the birth rate, or it's going to remain steady, right? Medical facilities. The medical facilities are good, then it's going to affect the population positively. If the medical facilities are not so good or poor, then it's going to affect the population, whether the population increases, decreases, or remains steady. Understand? Nutrition is very important as well, because people need to know what to eat, right? Adults need to know what to eat. Adults need to also know what to give children, right? Many times you see kids becoming malnutritioned, right? Because parents from them born, them start give them feeding, or them start give them lasco, or them start make sugar and water put in them buckle, or they giving them cheese tricks and bag juice, which is not healthy for the child. Understand? So people must learn to consume a balanced diet. So you don't just live on fast food every day, because you know that it is not healthy, especially if you are not exercising. It can be very detrimental to your health, right? And you can develop certain kinds of lifestyle diseases if you're not eating healthy, like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. And you know, if you get sick, chances are one little thing you can die. That is why so many persons are dying from COVID-19, because when they get the illness, many of them have underlying issues like diabetes, hypertension, and those kinds of things, and then it complicates those diseases, and then they end up dying. But migration now is a big thing that influences population change. We know that migration is the movement of people from one place to another in order to settle. Good. Under migration, when someone is migrating, we categorize them into two categories. Great. Watch this. So this is a straw, this is a pencil. Alright? So they are migrating. When, for example, we're looking at immigration, that's EMI, and then immigration, that is IMI, right? So how I used to distinguish both terms is that E means exit and I means in. That is what I use to distinguish both things. You understand? So for example, Darian's mom lives in the United States of America, and Darian is being filed for by his mother. When he leaves, say Meadowbrook, and goes to the Norman Manley International Airport, right? This is Darian. When he's migrating now, he is going to function in two capacities, right? He is going to be an emigrant, which is E, and also an immigrant with I. Good. So when he is at the Norman Manley International Airport, he becomes the straw, which is an emigrant, that is EMIGRANT. So he becomes an emigrant because he is leaving his home country of Jamaica. So the straw is an emigrant. When he now reaches to JFK in New York to join his mom, he becomes an immigrant. That's the one with I. So emigration is when you are leaving your home country. Immigration is when you arrive in your new country to live. Are we clear, ladies and gentlemen? So emigrant, when you are leaving. Immigration, when you come in to a new place to settle and to live. Are we understanding? Let me know if you're understanding the difference between both terms. Emigration and also immigration. Let me know if you understand. Are you understanding the terms, students? Alright, Sharmila say yes, she understands. Anybody else? Ariana, Royalty, very good that you students understand. That's very good. Alright, let's look some more into migration. Good. There are several types of migration. Good. But we put them under two broad headings, and then we are going to zero in on them and look more closely. Good. There is internal migration, and then there is external migration. But please note that there are several kinds of internal migration. Please begin to tell me the types of internal migration. Tell me the types of internal migration. So there are several types of internal migration. I need somebody to tell me some of them. Some of the types of internal migration. Yes, Jail awaiting. Kelia. Vina awaiting. Royal awaiting. Sharmella, I'm waiting. Darian, I'm waiting. Omar, I'm waiting. Amanda, I'm waiting for you guys to tell me the types of internal migration. No, royal, regional is external migration. Risk migration, no, Sharmila, that's not what we're talking. We're talking about internal migration. So, rural, but you can't say rural on its own. Rural migration is moving from one place to another. So, if you say rural, that is one place. To where? You have to tell me where is the another. Tell me. Still waiting. Jahil, you're just saying urban migration is always two places. So you have to tell me from where to where. So Sharmila, so urban to rural migration, that's very good. And Adela says rural to urban, very good. Jahil is saying seasonal, no Jahil. Alright, so 2 or 3 persons got the idea. So there are several types of internal migration. Great. There is rural to rural migration. And we know that rural is what we call the country areas, or the areas that are less developed. Urban are the more developed areas like towns and cities. So we must get those 2 definitions out. Great. So we have rural to rural migration, that is from a less developed area to another less developed area, or from one country area to another country area. That is rural to rural migration. So for example, if I move from Moko in Clarendon to Cave Valley in Trelawney, right? That is rural to rural migration. Or if I move from Kellits in Clarendon to Rhodes Hall in Anova, that is rural to rural migration. Good. Then there is rural to urban migration, that is from a less developed area to a more developed area. So if I move from Kellits in Clarendon to Portmore in St. Catherine, that is rural to urban. Then there is also urban to rural, right? So you can move from a more developed area or in a town or city to a more less developed area. So for example, I can move from Portmore to Catadupa down into the country area. Understand? Then we have urban to urban. That's from a developed area to another developed area. So I can move from Duhaney Park to, say, Waltham Park Road. So that is urban to urban. Are we clear? So those are all the types of internal migration. Let's go again. Rural to rural. Rural to urban, right? There is urban to rural, and then there is urban to urban, right? So those are the types of internal migration. Then now we have external migration. We have 2 types of external migration. Somebody mentioned one already. There is regional migration, that is moving from one area to another, moving from one country, to another country that is in your own geographic region. Alright, so there are several geographic regions in the world. So the Caribbean is considered as a geographic region. Great. North America is a geographic region on its own. South America, geographic region. Africa, Australia, Asia, Europe, Antarctica, those are geographic regions unto themselves. So for example, if I move from Jamaica to Cuba, that would be considered regional migration because I'm moving within my region. If I move from Great Britain to France, that is regional migration. If I move from the USA to Canada, that is regional migration. If I move from Brazil to Chile, that is regional migration. If I move from Kenya to South Africa, that is regional migration. If I move from Japan to India, that is also regional migration. If I move from Australia to New Zealand, that is regional migration because I'm moving from one country to another country in my own geographic region. Then now there is, yes, Sharmila, international migration, that is moving from one country to another outside your geographic region. Understand? So if I move from Jamaica to the United States of America, that is international migration. Good. I move from Jamaica to Chile, international migration. I move from France and go and live in Argentina, that is international migration. So following, so we have internal migration, external. Two types of external migration: regional migration and international migration. Good? Great. That's easy. So now there are some factors that cause people to migrate. Tell me, what are those factors? We put them under two headings that cause people to migrate. Two sets of factors that cause people to want to migrate. Tell me the two types of factors that cause people to want to migrate. I'm watching the time. I'm almost half hour in, and I'm still on migration, to show you that migration is really heavy, but I'd like to spend the time so that people can understand. Right? So there are push and pull factors. Very good. So we know that the words mean exactly what they mean. So it's easy. So push is what causes somebody to leave. So push are situations within your area, country, or region that causes you to want to leave. Pull factors now are factors or conditions in another country that entices you to want to go there and live. So push, what causes you to leave your own country, right? Pull are things in another country or area that pulls you or entices you to want to go there and live, right? So some push factors now that cause you to leave would include what, ladies and gentlemen? Push factors would include what? What would the push factors include? Better infrastructure and housing. Those would be pull factors, Omar. I want you guys to tell me the push factors. No, Jail. Brain drain is not a push factor. Brain drain comes as a result of migration, but it's not a push factor. So things like high crime rate, yes, Kelia, crime, K. Chutson, bad roads, Vina Paradise, yes, unemployment, Royal, Dijonais, unemployment, crime, lack of basic needs, I don't know what that means, Pine Royalty, crime and violence, lack of employment, no water and light, pollution, yes, Sharmila, crime, oppression, yes, there's religious persecution, yes, very good. So you guys understand what the push factors are. Good. So now the pull factors now. So the pull factors would be the reverse of the push factors. So you can say availability of jobs, high wages, proper infrastructure. Those are roads, schools, hospitals, clinics, right? There's religious freedom. Yes, I'm going to post the live on my YouTube channel, right? Overcrowding is a push factor. Yes, very good. Let's understand this now. So the country that a person is moving from is what we call the supply country. So wherever somebody is moving from to go to another country, that would be called the supply country, right? The country that the person is going to live is what we call the host country. So for example, say Jahil is moving from Jamaica to go to the United States of America to live in New York with his mother, right? Because he's leaving from Jamaica, Jamaica is considered the supply country, because that is where he's leaving from. The host country now would be the United States of America, because that is where Jahil is going to live. Send me a thumbs up if you guys are following what I'm doing so far. Send me a thumbs up if you're following. Let me know if you're following what I'm saying, if you're understanding. persons want to live in Canada, or persons who live in probably New York and Chicago and Nebraska and those places, when they become old, right, and they must suffer from arthritis and other lifestyle diseases, they will come in Florida to live, where it's a little bit warmer, because we know that Florida is in the tropics, right? So it's a little bit warmer. But if it experiences a lot of rainfall, you know, the house have to really be sturdy, right, or elevated to avoid flooding, right? If there's a lot of drought, you know, if you are interested in farming, it's not going to work out for you, because we know the water thing go when you're a farmer. Are we understanding? Fertile areas also influences who live there, because if the area is fertile, we're going to have a lot of farmers that are drawn to living in that area. If you're not interested in farming, you know, probably not necessarily want to live there. Understand? Location of mineral resources, because we know that the mining of mineral resources is a big economic activity in Jamaica. So we know that wherever resources are, it means that jobs are readily available. So if you live in those areas, you can get jobs there, or even if you want to become an entrepreneur, you can set up your own business, because when they are mining those resources, you know, whether it's bauxite, whether it is the big rocks, like we are made up of 70% of limestone, so limestone is probably all over Jamaica. Even if you can't work in the industries, but you can set up business. You understand? You can set up a food shop, because the people who work there are going to need breakfast, lunch, and probably sometime dinner, right? A little bank close by, so they can cash them check, or them can bank money, like a Western Union, where they can actually send money back to their families, right? A little bar, because men and some women, them love consume them alcohol. You understand, ladies and gentlemen? Alright, so developed areas also influences who live there, because we know that developed areas, infrastructure is good and certain amenities are there. So persons who want to live there, where them know them can have good bus service, taxis readily available, there are good roads, there are street lights, right? Health services are readily accessible. So that will influence who lives there. The type of vegetation, right? And we know that vegetation is like trees, forest, right? Good. Now let's look at population density. All right, with population density, now this is the average amount of people that lives in a particular area. Remember, population is the total amount. So population population density, right? Population density, the calculation is achieved by dividing the population size by the land area. That is how we work out population density, land area. So for example, say that the population size of St. Kitts is 50,000, good, and the land area is 5,000 kilometers square. Using the information, what is the population density of St. Kitts? So let me say this again and you write it down. Remember, we say population density, we divide the population by the land area. We divide the population by the land area. So if the population of St. Kitts is 50,000 and the land area is 5,000 kilometers square, what is the population density? We are dividing the population size by the land area. So tell me, what is the population density? Tell me, what's the population density? $50,000 divided by 5,000. That's all you're working out. $50,000 divided by 5,000. What's the answer? Repeat. Alright, so population the land area is 5,000 kilometers square. What is the population density? 10. So the population, we would not say 10 kilometers square, but Kilia would have worked out the correct number, but the answer wouldn't be correct. So the population density would be 10 persons per kilometer square, because 5,000 divided by 50 is 10. Good? So it thing and can also be a bad thing. So we're going to look at how migration impacts the host country and also the supply country. Remember, we say that the host country is where the person is going to live, the new place that the person is going to live. Supply country is where the person is coming from. Good? So on the supply country, one of the leaves first, like the mother or the father, and them go to that country and work and live for a number of years before them family that they leave back in the country that they have left see them in a long period of time. So there is disruption of families. There's also emotional trauma that the children can go through or the spouse. But there are also positives too, because one of the biggest positives is remittances, right? Because when a person migrates, they send back money to their own country, to their family members, good, right? And the government makes money off of this through taxation. Businesses are set up like MoneyGram, Western Union, right? Them get a little thing when you collect your money, and when you go to the when you go there, you can help to build their economy, because you are going there to fill jobs that probably nobody wants to fill, or them can't get anybody to fill. For example, like in Canada, some areas in Canada is underpopulated, so they were actually asking persons who were educated and skilled to come there and live. So that's a benefit to them. You also will carry use for. So whenever there is a census, let me check the time again, have about 15 minutes remaining. Whenever there is a population census, they don't just take the information like that, but they take it for a particular reason and a particular purpose. Good. So when they take the population statistics, it is used for housing, because when the government knows the